This episode is brought to you by Oddmo's Pizza in Canby. Handmade awesome pizza plus craft beer, wine, and cider. Delivered. Call them today at 503-263-8444.
Welcome to Now Hear This Canby,
your source for news.
The threat of a possible teacher strike was avoided this week.
There's a new, irresistibly cute creature winning over fans, and its name is Scootaloo.
Sports?
It's like Lucy in the football. You want to kick a field goal, if they take it away from you.
We had to learn how to win.
Goal can't be in the last second of the game!
And interesting conversations.
Because I'm one of the strongest girls ever, and I know that for a fact.
I just really enjoy writing gossip as if I was a bear.
With an old maid daughter that make the best moonshine in the coast.
And if it would have hit me in the face, I think I would have died. I really do.
I guarantee you would have died, man. Are you kidding me?
Welcome to the Now Hear This Canby podcast. Thanks for listening. I'm Martina Baker, and this is what's happening this week in our community. Portland General Electric took legal action Friday against the state of Oregon to condemn a piece of property alongside Willamette Falls that is critical to tribal fishing access. The move, together with a notice of condemnation, could allow the utility to control access to roughly 5 acres of land at the base of the falls, exacerbating tensions between Northwest tribes with ties to the landmark. PGE has been mired in an ongoing dispute over who has authority over the property, where the Confederate tribes of the Grand Round have PGE has been mired in an ongoing dispute over who has authority over the property, where the Confederate tribes of the Grand Ronde have permission from the state to operate a fishing platform. Officials with PGE said the utility has spent 3 years trying to resolve the property dispute with the Oregon Department of State Lands, which granted a permit to the Grand Ronde on land that the utility argues is part of its licensed hydroelectric project at the falls. Other tribes have said the state's decision to grant permission to the Grand Ronde interferes with their treaty fishing rights at the falls. In response to PGE's filing, Sarah Thompson, communications director for the Grand Ronde tribes, issued a statement accusing the utility of trying to steal one of Oregon's gems from the public trust to protect its business relationships with other tribes. PGE's only concern is protecting their business relationships with these tribes at the expense of Grand Ronde's ability to exercise a legally authorized ceremonial fishery from a temporary platform at Willamette Falls, Thompson said. They are trying to circumvent a state process under a false narrative surrounding safety, and their claims that they have made every reasonable attempt to resolve this issue is simply not true. Dave Robertson, PGE's Vice President of Public Affairs, said the utility is moving to condemn the property because that's the best legal tool available to expeditially resolve issues essential to our operations. In a statement, he said the utility wants to ensure safe and equitable access for all of the tribes that have historically fished in the area while maintaining its obligations under the license it has from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to operate the dam at the site. No matter the outcome, PGE recognizes the area's immense importance to Northwest tribes, Robertson said. The utility said, as part of a federal process to relicense the dam, 5 tribes with treaty-based fishing rights entered an agreement in 2005 to access the falls for cultural activities through PGE property. But in later years, the state of Oregon issued a permit that put the property's ownership in question. Robertson said the land where the state permitted the Grand Ronde tribes to build scaffolding and catch 15 fish a year for ceremonial use is essential to safe and secure operations of our hydroelectric plant. He said the utility tried to resolve the dispute through administrative processes, mediation, and attempts to buy the state's claimed interest in the property, but a recent ruling from the administrative law judge did not resolve the dispute and made clear the long road ahead to final resolution. Dolores Pigsley, who chairs the Confederate Tribes of Siletz Indians Tribal Council, said in a statement that the state of Oregon and the Grand Ronde tribes bypassed the process 5 tribes had agreed to in 2005, which allowed all of the tribes to have cultural access to the falls. By circumventing that process and taking actions that cause this current property dispute, certain parties have infringed on the rights of other tribes, including Siletz, who should have equal access to Willamette Falls, Pigley said. Delano Soluskin, chairman of the Tribal Council for Confederate Tribes and Bands of the Yakama Nation, said his tribes support PGE. PGE's need to safely operate and maintain the area within the boundaries of its federal licensed power plant is unassailable, he said in a statement. Ray Sumpty, chairman of the Confederate Tribes of Warm Springs, said PGE has worked in good faith to resolve the property dispute and, unfortunately, the Grand Ronde tribe stepped away from those discussions some time ago. Sumpty said the Grand Ronde blocked a proposal supported by other tribes, PGE, and the state to start a new round of talks to resolve the ownership dispute. We support PGE's action to move forward now, secure its property and its ongoing efforts to facilitate a safe and equitable way for all tribes to have everlasting access to the site, he said. The Grand Ronde tribes purchased the Blue Heron Mill site alongside Willamette Falls in 2019 and recently started demolishing the old paper mill with plans to redevelop the property. The Canby Farmers Market will return to downtown Canby on Saturday, April 23rd, at its regular location on North Holly Street between 2nd and 4th Avenue. The Canby Farmers Market is a local favorite for young and old alike, offering the best that the Willamette Valley has to offer, from freshly picked produce and flowers to unique handcrafted gifts and accessories. Organized by Alexis Purcell for the past 3 seasons, this bustling little market also offers a variety of cuisine and market favorites from food trucks and other local vendors, along with live music and other activities. The market will run every Saturday throughout the spring and summer, starting on April 23rd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Another event that is set to return this year after a 2-year hiatus is the Canby Prayer Breakfast, which will be held starting at 7 a.m. May 5th, coinciding with the National Day of Prayer. The 17th annual prayer breakfast takes place at Cuthbert's Town Hall and features a delicious breakfast along with a program led by the Canby Christian Faith Community and Mayor Brian Hodson. Please join Christian community members from many churches in Canby for a morning of prayer and fellowship, organizer Pete Durkee said. We will be praying for our world, country, and state. Tickets are $10 and may be purchased online at bit.ly/Canby Prayer 2022. Canby High School's Future Business Leaders of America are flying high after an impressive outing at the Oregon State Business Leadership Conference in Portland this weekend, highlighted by junior Pete Sansone being named Oregon FBLA State President for the 2022-23 school year. It is a surreal experience, and I am incredibly honored to be entrusted to help lead the organization forward, Sansone told the Canby Current. Tanya Boosted, a Canby High School FBLA advisor and a board member for Oregon FBLA, said she was thrilled for the junior who served as state secretary this year and did such a great job. I am so proud of Pete for his willingness to take on this extra responsibility with all of his other CHS activities, she said. He participates in athletics at CHS and is part of our associated student body team. He takes advanced classes and is dedicated to his schoolwork. The State Leadership Conference was held April 7th to 9th and hosted more than 1,350 students from more than 70 schools across the state. It's the premier event for Oregon's FBLA members, teachers, alumni, and business supporters who come together for training, competition, and entertainment. It was the first time in 2 years that the event had been held in person after transitioning to a virtual event due to the pandemic. Boosted said her team's flexibility and willingness to try new things impressed her this year. I have only one senior who had completed an in-person FBLA conference in the past, she said. All of our other members have only competed in online FBLA events for the past 2 years. This was their first time in front of an in-person judge. Some students were in events that they had never competed in before, but they rose to the challenge, and I'm so proud of them. The high school brought 18 students to the state conference. The top performers will be invited to the National Leadership Conference held at the end of June and early July in Chicago. Sansone has big ambitions for his presidency next year. With in-person conferences and events returning, I know there is a potential for a great year with increased membership and enthusiasm, he said. I hope to capitalize on that by establishing regular communication with local chapters and implementing exciting activities and events. For photos, find this story on our website at canbyfirst.com. Cougar Country hometown sports coverage is brought to you by Reif and Hunsaker PC. When you need an attorney, turn to the firm Canby has trusted for over 50 years. Call them today at 503-266-3456. For the latest sports news, follow us on Twitter at Cougar Country OR and Instagram at Cougar Country POD. After a full week of rest and only 2 games over the last 21 days, the Canby Cougar lacrosse team made up for any lost excitement in their home game Friday against the Bend Lava Bears. Against a Bend team that has yet to lose to an in-state opponent, the Cougars fought their way back from deficits twice, but were unable to walk away with the win, falling 9-10 in an intense overtime game. With their Monday game canceled due to their opponent's limited availability, Canby had extra time off to prepare. They needed it. Bend had outscored their last 47-16, including a 17-1 win over Ridgeview earlier in the week, and started Friday's game looking like they were itching for another rout. Just 1 minute into the game, the Lava Bears struck first when Christian Kazmaier rocketed a goal from deep to grab an early lead. Minutes later, Tag DeLuca found himself unguarded next to the goal, an absolute breakdown defensively, and scored an easy goal past Logan Corley. After 6 minutes of the first quarter, Ben led 2-0 and was out shooting Canby 8-0. The Cougars had barely gotten the ball into their side of the field. After a brutal stretch to start the game, Tyler Canold kicked the offense into high gear. The football standout showed his lacrosse skills, bulldozing past 2 Lava Bear defensemen and launching a falling acrobatic goal to get the Cougars going. 50 seconds later, Will English scored off of a pass from Silas Wood. Suddenly, the Cougars had 2 goals on 2 shots and had knotted the game at 2. After Cam Lee scored on a laser shot, the first of many on the day for Lee, Canby had battled back to nab a 3-2 lead. Bend would not go down without a fight, though. The talented Lava Bear offense took over in the second. The Cougars had only a few shots in the period and another goal from Lee, and at the end of the first half, the Bend offense had built their lead to 4, carrying a 7-3 advantage at halftime. After halftime, though, it was clear that the tide had shifted and it would no longer be the Bend offense on display. Instead, it was the Cam Lee show. After notching 2 goals in the first half, Lee doubled his output in the second. With Canby down 4-7, the senior stepped up to move Canby back into prime position. First, a ripper past 3 players. Then, another shot from the top of the key. Then only 19 seconds later, a laser shot similar to the first goal of the game. After a Bend goal in the fourth, Lee answered with his 6th consecutive goal for the Cougars with 10 minutes remaining in the game. After trailing by 3 goals, the Cougars were instantly back in the thick of things with the score tied 8-8. The Lava Bears quickly realized that the superhuman senior was the main offensive fixture for the Cougars. After double teaming to no avail, Bend relied on triple teaming when Lee got the ball down low, as well as ensuring that one defender was on him at all times, no matter how far away from the action he was. With Lee eating up the defenders, Tyler Canold took the helm, scoring a goal to give Canby their first lead in 30 minutes, leading 9-8 with 10-11 left. While the comeback was impressive, the Canby lead would not last the full 10 minutes. A Ryan Gottschalk goal tied the game back up at 9 with 8 minutes remaining. Neither the Cougars nor the Bears scored in the final minutes of regulation, with tensions flaring as both teams fought for the win. With 5 minutes left, a mini scrum ensued after a wrestling match between Caden Silva and Bend's Zach Crotwell, which broke out in the middle of the lacrosse game. Both players were separated by officials and quickly ejected. As they both left the field, they exchanged a hug in the penalty box. It was obvious there were no hard feelings between the two. They were just fighting hard for that win. With both defenses giving their opponents fits, the game headed to overtime with neither team getting a shot off in the final seconds. The Cougar D held off the Bend defense for nearly 3 minutes, but could not stop them off forever. With 9 seconds left in the overtime, Eric Brostek curled around, firing a low shot that snuck by Crowley and gave the Lava Bears a dramatic victory. Canby will travel to Sherwood on Tuesday before starting league play Thursday with the game against Lake Oswego. That game is scheduled to begin at 7 p.m.
Frankie! How many times do I have to ask you for those audio files? I need them for the next episode.
I know. Man, I told you I'm trying to upload them now, but it's taking forever.
That's super weird. I thought your new internet provider was like super fast speeds.
Well, I thought so too. I mean, sometimes it goes really fast, but then I get heavy lag and glitches when I'm trying to make FaceTime calls or play games. It has cost me quite a few missions on Call of Duty Warzone, I can tell you. Even the videos on my doorbell cam come in jittery sometimes.
Well, Frankie, other than being very bad at video games, it sounds like it's trouble with your upload speeds. Most internet providers only talk about their download speeds, since those are usually way faster.
Okay, hang on a second. You telling me there are 2 types of internet speeds?
Yup. And upload speed is just as important as download. Think about how much stuff we send up to the internet, like the video of you that your friends see on the FaceTime call, or the response to your commands when you're playing action video games.
You're right. It sounds like I have slow upload speeds. Wish I would have known that when I signed up for internet.
Unfortunately, a lot of providers only tout their download speeds when talking about their services. That's what sets DirectLink apart. Not only do they openly advertise them, but their upload speeds are up to 10 times faster than other providers in the area. They know how important it is to have clear video when on that Zoom interview you have for your dream job, or when you're trying to catch those porch pirates that are stealing all of your Amazon packages and the Christmas things that you got for your... You know what? It's not a big deal. Give DirectLink a call to get started at 503-266-8111 or visit directlink.coop/internet.
I kind of got a grudge against those
I'm still
pirates.
waiting for my teddy bear to show up.
This is Roz Mason, and I'm running for State Senate District 26, which now includes Canby. I know we need affordable housing, a strong local economy, and to face climate challenges of wildfire and heat waves like last year's that hit 118 in the Dalles where I live. Climate courage also includes upsides, like becoming more energy independent using renewables and helping our district get in on innovative technology and manufacturing jobs. I'm visiting Canby and Sandy April 14th through 16th. I'd love to see you. Visit masonfororegon.com for info and to get a yard sign. Paid for by Mason for Oregon.
All right, joining us on the Canby Conversation today, we are so excited to be talking with Carrie Tillotson. She is a Canby native, Canby High School grad, and the author of the forthcoming, very soon now, children's book, Counting to Bananas. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Tyler. Thanks so much for having me today.
Absolutely. Happy to have you on. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah.
Getting excited about the big release?
Very excited. Trying not to be too scatterbrained. But...
Yeah, trying not to get too stressed out with all the details of the million things that go into all that.
For sure.
Well, I've been very excited to talk to you and meet you. You have a really interesting story. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like virtually all children's authors, you started as a biostatistician. No, I'm kidding. It's a pretty unusual background, is it not?
Yeah.
You now do?
I think that would be accurate. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into what you're doing now.
Sure. Well, I wanted to be an illustrator when I was very little. When I was 3, I wanted to be the person who made the pictures for coloring books.
Awesome.
And I really was kind of always an art kid. Of course, I did love to read, but I never really had thought of myself as a writer. And of course, I, went through school, went to college, decided I wanted to do research at a university, which is what led me into public health and biostatistics and all that. And I really enjoyed that. But once I started working as a biostatistician, I just had this little thing in the back of my brain saying, like, there's something else there. Maybe you need to explore this stuff with children's books. And I was, always, there's a website or an organization called the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And I was always stalking their website thinking, oh man, it'd be so cool to be an author or an illustrator. And one year I was just like, well, there's nothing stopping you except yourself. So I just dove in and I started writing, and that was like 8 years ago, and I haven't looked back.
Really cool. So tell us, for folks who don't know, what does a biostatistician do? Is it just like your book? You're counting bananas, 1 banana, 2 banana? No.
It's a lot of
You're
numbers.
just in a room with a bunch of fruit.
Well, so I studied in public health. My degree is in epidemiology and biostatistics. And my first epidemiology course, our professor said, as an epidemiologist, you count. That's what you do. That's basically the job. And so, like, really, this book does tie into, epidemiology and statistics and numbers, clearly, because it's a counting book. But a biostatistician, in my line of work, I did a lot of health services research. And so, when you see studies that say, drinking 1 glass of wine is beneficial for your health, I didn't work on a study like that, but there's someone doing the numbers behind those scenes to get those kind of results. And so that's what I did. A lot of number crunching.
Making science and experiments accessible and usable.
Yes,
Okay.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like there's sort of a whole realm of science communication that the focus is on making it accessible.
Yeah.
Many biostatisticians are really just doing the number crunching, and then it's someone else who kind of does that translating.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be the same person, and I was very interested in that. So I tried to be that person that made things, understandable for anybody.
Yeah. So it's really fascinating. You've been in kind of the children's book world. It's been a dream of yours pretty much all your life, but really kind of professionally, looking to get into it for about 8 years now. Just have your first book coming out. What can you tell us a little bit about kind of what that world is like, and how does one break into this field?
Sure. I feel the kidlit world is very welcoming. Very encouraging.
Yeah.
There's always people who are willing to talk with you and, I don't know, not really give you a leg up, but just tell you about their process. I think if someone wanted to write a book, especially a children's book, the things that I would recommend would be finding a critique group. So finding a group of other writers that you can share your work with, because chances are the first thing you write is not going to be your best. And so being able to work on revision and learning how to, accept and work with feedback to improve your writing is really key. Counting to Bananas went through many drafts and is definitely not the first book I wrote. So that would be definitely one big thing. Another that a lot of people recommend is to read at least 100 books in the category that you want to write. Like if you want to read picture books, go to your library, find 100 picture books that have been written in the last few years so you can see what's being published today. Yeah. And I think with those 2 things, you'll be doing pretty well. And I guess my biggest thing is don't let yourself get in your own way. You just have to start. And if you have a calling to do it, you just got to do it.
I think famously, counting to bananas, you said originally was counting to asparagus, right? And your agent was just like, no, kids don't like it. You need something, that's more popular with the kids. So I'm just kidding. There is a funny story about how this specific project came to be, right? How you were inspired for counting to bananas.
Yeah. The story is from an interaction between my son and his swim instructor. So was doing swimming lessons, and every class he'd have to do a skill called a starfish float. So he'd lay on his back with his arms and legs out and have to do it for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So his instructor would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bananas. And of course, at the time he was 5 and he thought that was hysterical. And one day he's giving her a hard time saying, "Oh, you never count to 10. And she said, "Well, don't you love my counting to bananas?" And I just heard that phrase and I was like, that is a great picture book title. I said, I don't know what it's about, but I'm writing it down.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the seed of the whole story.
Yeah. Well, and I have to do that every time we have an author on the show. I have to just get on them about no spoilers. Okay. So Carrie, seriously, no spoilers, but can you just tell us a little bit about what this book is about? And again, I can't stress enough. We just don't allow it. Okay.
No spoilers. The book is about a banana. So it's nothing about swimming.
Right. Yeah.
But it's about a banana and a narrator who have a little disagreement on what this book is about. So it's called Counting to Bananas. Subtitle is A Mostly Rhyming Fruit Book. So there's some rhyme. Clearly there's some fruit, but there's also some non-fruits. And Banana really wants to be the star of this book. And maybe gets a little bit frustrated along the way.
Yeah. But it kind of does capture, right, that sort of sense of playfulness, kind of that sense of surprise that kids just really enjoy.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going for. And I really wanted to capture like that surprise and delight that my son had with his swim instructor. And so I hope that's what people get when they read the book.
As a parent as well, that character of Banana, and just kind of wanting to be the star, that's very especially that age of kid, right? Of kind of wanting the spotlight and like, hey, this story is supposed to be about me, right?
Right. For sure. Yeah.
Have to shout out the, and it's interesting that you originally wanted to be an illustrator, but you have an amazing illustrator that you worked with for this book. Tell us about her.
Yes. Oh, Estrella. Her name's Estrella Lorenzo. She lives in Ireland and her work is amazing. I feel so lucky to have gotten paired up with her for this book. She and I have met on Zoom. I hope one day we'll be able to meet in person, but
does she have an Irish accent?
She's actually Portuguese herself, but lives in Ireland now. So she has Portuguese accent.
Great.
But yeah, she's really wonderful. And I'm so excited to be able to work with her on this book. And we have a second book coming out as well next year. So we got to
character, right?
Yes, the same Banana. And just like 2 weeks ago, I got to see the final art for that book. And she's done such an amazing job again.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Is it really is it a sequel? Yeah. Okay. So it kind of continues the story a little bit.
Well,
in some ways. I mean, it's not.
It doesn't continue the story. It's just a new banana adventure.
Gotcha.
A bedtime adventure.
Yeah. Obviously, this is a podcast, so we're always kind of we have to be very descriptive, but definitely go on Carrie's website or check out, Counting to Bananas on all the places that you can find the book, because she just nailed it. I mean, right, like just completely nailed again that kind of playful element and style that you were going for with the writing.
Yep.
And it's just great.
Yep, she really did.
Yeah. Carrie, you have some events coming up where folks can actually meet you, and I think you'll be doing some readings.
I do. I don't know when this podcast airs, but tomorrow I have a virtual story time with Estrella at 8 a.m. Pacific. And you can find all this information on my website. On Tuesday, the book release day, I have a virtual book launch with Annie Bloom's books. And I'll be in conversation with Kimberly Wilson, another author friend. And then probably of most interest to Canby residents, I will be at the Book Nook doing a story time and book signing on April 23rd, I believe, which is a Saturday at 11 o'clock. So.
Absolutely, which is my daughter's birthday. So
nice.
See if we can make that happen. That would be pretty exciting.
Fun.
And then also on April 30th, you have something, I believe.
Yes, I'll be in McMinnville at 3rd Street Books on April 30th. That's Independent Bookstore Day, and I'll be at 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah. How does that kind of feel? Is that nerve-wracking or fun to be able to kind of get out, especially in this sort of Zoom environment that we've been in? But yeah, to sort of get out in the real world, see kids, right?
It's really exciting. We've all been stuck at home for so long, and I guess less so recently, but
Yeah.
I'm really excited to get to read it with actual little children in front of me. And sorry, I've got a little bug. I'm super looking forward to that. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you get really into it, Carrie? Do you do voices for Banana and stuff
Well,
like that?
I bought a banana hat. I don't have it nearby. So we'll see how that goes. It's really hot.
Oh, I bet.
So I don't think I can wear it for a whole story time, but
Yeah, like sweat pouring down your eyes.
yeah. So that should be fun. Hopefully the kids get a kick out of that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, the last thing I wanted to ask you about is just kind of growing up in Canby, your experiences here and at Canby High School as well, Canby School District. Can you tell us a little bit about what all that was like and how that just set you up for your smashingly successful career as a biostatistician, statistician, turned children's author?
Sure. Gosh. I mean, yeah, I grew up in Canby in the 80s and 90s, and it was a lot smaller than it is now. I know Canby has grown quite a bit, but gosh, I don't know what to say. I was really an art kid.
Insiders like me keep coming in.
Oh yeah, so you're not a native.
I'm not a native. My wife is from here, so I don't get too many dirty looks, but
yeah, that's fair. No, I was really into art as a kid, and sports. So I had lots of teachers I feel like I just had encouraging teachers, even though I don't feel like I saw myself taking a writer path. I think there were just lots of encouragement to do what you want to do and find your passion, I guess. So yeah, it was a good place to grow up, and I still have family that lives there, so I still come back fairly often.
Yeah, you still kind of feel like there's obviously a family, but sort of some connections there where the community, like the Book Nook and folks still kind of want to support the local people. Yeah, it sure feels that way. I had a reporter from the Canby Herald interviewed me a week ago, so that was really fun. Yeah. I was saying, gosh, I newspaper. Haven't been in the Canby paper for 20 years since I was in high school. Yeah. So that was really fun. Yeah. Very, very cool. Awesome, Carrie. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about? I can't think of anything. Just thank you so much. And I'm so excited. And of course, I have to thank all my publishing team as well, because, Estrella and I have done a lot of the work, but it wouldn't be a book without a lot of people behind the scenes. Yeah. So. Yeah, absolutely. You want to shout out your website, social media, how folks can find out more or check you out? Sure. My website is Carrie Tillotson, CarrieTillotson.com. It's just my first and last name. And same on Twitter and Instagram, Carrie Tillotson. So luckily there aren't very many Carrie Tillotsons in the world. Yeah, you didn't have to be like the real Carrie Tillotson. Right. Official. Yeah, awesome. Well, Carrie, thanks so much for taking time out to talk to us today. Congratulations on the big publishing. And we look forward to connecting with you again and following your career. All right. Thank you so much, Tyler.
So, Tyler, Valentine's Day is coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Got any big plans with the missus?
Oh, you know it.
That's what I thought. A little candlelight, nice dinner.
Mm-hmm. Check and check.
Romantic music, champagne, and of course, books.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, man. Ladies love books, and books are a great gift that show you value and appreciate everything about that special someone in your life, including their mind.
Okay, I'm with you. One problem though, what if
I don't know what book she would like.
Not to worry, my friend. The Book Nook on North Grant Street in downtown Canby has you covered with their Blind Date with a Book promotion. You just pick out the genre and they take care of the rest, sending you home with your choice of a new or used pre-wrapped hardcover or paperback gem that she or he or they are sure to love.
That does sound pretty cool and romantic.
Yep. Plus, the Book Nook has a fantastic selection of chocolate, candy, cards, and other gifts for all of your Valentine's needs.
And that's not all. If you're in need of a special outing on Valentine's week, look no further than Trivia Night at Wayward Sandwiches Thursday, February 17th. They're partnering with the Book Nook for an evening of romantic literature-themed trivia. Awesome bookish prizes and lots of fun.
For all things books and more, check out The Book Nook, 294 Northwest 2nd Avenue, or visit them on Facebook, Instagram, and at booknookcanby.com.
Hey, I'm AJ. I'm your local Oddmos franchise owner.
I'm Mike, co-founder of Oddmos.
And we're the hosts of The Odd Pod, a podcast about
life in the pizza industry. We're going to have on some franchisees. We're going to have some different vendors on. We're going to get a snapshot of what goes on behind the scenes in the pizza world.
Don't forget to tell them about the sports.
There's sports.
And the crazy wacky pizza that we have every Wednesday that we create. And we also have a special guest every week as well.
And I'm Gage, Odd Pod Senior Sports Analyst.
Gage, who gave you that title?
Me.
Oh boy. Find us on Spotify and Apple Music and the Podbean.
And now, a message from Donna Ellison of Ellison Team Homes.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to take this moment to invite you personally to come and hang out with us for our end of season client event. It's a thank you to all the wonderful people we've done business with, as well as a welcome to a lot of our community. I'm doing this in partnership with Vanessa Zimmerman team at Academy Mortgage. It's just kind of our way of saying thank you. We've really enjoyed getting to know you, doing business with you, etc. We'll be outside. We're sensitive to the fact that we're in COVID, still dealing with that. So it will be spread out. People will have room to breathe and sit and walk and talk. Reckless Company, if you've never heard them before, they're awesome. They're going to be playing. We'll have TMK here. I can't wait to try the corn dog. I've been waiting like 2 years to try this corn dog. So it looks amazing, and I've heard it's amazing, and I think there's quite a following. Also, they'll have all kinds of other food. We'll have beer and cider. Everything's hosted, of course, as a thank you. Again, it's for our clients. It's for our community. We really, really want to come and celebrate. We'll have swag for you, all kinds of fun things for the kids. We hope to see you on 9/16 from 4 to 8 in the afternoon.
Canby Then is brought to you by The Book Nook, Canby's amazing local bookstore and gift shop. It is your source for new and used books, comic books, audiobooks, vintage books, well, all things books. You get the idea. They're across from the Backstop Bar and Grill in downtown Canby. And of course, as always, please support our unique and locally owned businesses as much as you can during this difficult time, especially businesses like The Book Nook. Well, when Governor Kate Brown ordered statewide school closures last month, it was not the first time in Canby history that schools were closed to fight the effects of a global pandemic. It was actually the second. It also happened in October 1918 as the world was reeling from the impacts of history's deadliest epidemic, a strain of H1N1 more commonly known as the Spanish flu. Schools were closed on Wednesday morning, October 23, 1918, by the order of Canby Mayor W.H. Baer, who was acting on instructions from the state health officer, Robert E. Holt. Holt was, in turn, taking his cue from the Surgeon General of the United States, who had, quote, directed that all public meetings as well as schools and theaters be closed forthwith to combat the worldwide epidemic of Spanish influenza, which is what the Canby Herald recorded. The schools, and particularly the toilets, maybe they ran out of toilet paper too, were to be thoroughly cleaned with formaldehyde and chloride of lime and fumigated. Where the disease originated was unknown, but because newspapers in Spain had been the first to cover it, it was dubbed the Spanish influenza, or Spanish flu for short. The first wave of the 1918 pandemic occurred in the early spring and was generally mild. The sick, who experienced such typical flu symptoms as chills, fever, and fatigue, usually recovered after several days, and the number of reported deaths was low. However, a second and highly contagious wave of the influenza appeared with a vengeance in the fall of that same year. Victims died within hours or days of developing symptoms, their skin turning blue and their lungs filling with fluid that caused them to suffocate. From the start of the year 1918 to the end, the average life expectancy in America plummeted by 12 years. The symptoms started with a fever like the common cold. Unlike measles or smallpox, there were no outward signs of the infection. As the sickness intensified, so did the pain. Patients would cough blood and start to turn blue from a lack of oxygen. A lethal type of pneumonia set in and caused an uncontrollable hemorrhaging that filled the lungs, leaving victims to drown in their own blood. Young victims and the elderly were vulnerable, but what was baffling about this new strand of the flu virus was how it struck otherwise healthy young men and women in the prime of their lives. These were the same boys the nation was sending to Europe to fight in World War I, and as such, the disease spread quickly among troops who were housed in barracks and traveled in close quarters. The first cases of the disease in Canby were reported the same week that the schools were shuttered. 2 sons of a local man named William Earl were taken ill, their ages unknown. These first 2 were soon followed by a large number of new cases that appeared across the city and Clackamas County and quickly spread. Though it's not known if he was the first, one early flu victim in Canby was a young man, Herbert Johnson, who died at the Vancouver Barracks Hospital in Washington, where the area's first cases from the second wave of the pandemic were treated. Johnson, whose age was not listed in the obituary in the Oregonian, died on November 7, 1918, barely 3 weeks after he had left home to enlist in the military service. He left behind 2 brothers, Ernest and Al Johnson. His remains were returned home, where interment will probably be at Canby, the obituary read. There was another recorded death that happened in Canby even earlier in the pandemic. It was also caused by the flu, albeit in a very different way. Ernest Perkins, 31, of West Lynn, was killed after being struck by a southbound train on the Southern Pacific tracks in Canby one early morning in October 1918. He was on his way to Salem to attend the funeral of a friend, John Bush, who had died from the influenza. At the point where the accident occurred, the road parallels the track for some distance, turning sharply at the crossing, the Oregonian reported. It is believed that Mr. Perkins was wholly unaware of the train coming behind him. The world, it could also be said, was wholly unaware of the train coming behind it. The Spanish flu infected 1/3 of the world's population and killed at least 50 million people worldwide, 675,000 of them in the U.S. It was one of the deadliest events in human history. For a long, brutal fall and winter, the nation suffered. Then, on the morning of March 13th, 1919, some good news finally came. The America had returned to port in New York City. The ship with the famed 13th Aero Squadron attached to it had left on December 4th, 1917, bound for the battlefields of Europe. Its troops had been engaged in the Meuse-Argonne offensive and the Battle of Saint-Mihiel, and helped see the Allied powers through to a victorious end. "We worked behind the lines, but near the front most of the time," said the squad's color sergeant, Stuart McCrae of Salem. Many of the squad's members were from Oregon. "But there is an excitement even at that. At night we used to hide in shell holes and dugouts, and there were many nights that Fritz came out and bombed us." Fritz, of course, was a World War I era nickname for German soldiers. The Aero's mission was to engage and clear enemy aircraft from the skies and provide escort and reconnaissance and bombardment squadrons over enemy territory. It also attacked enemy observation balloons, performed close air support and tactical bombing attacks, and even provided mechanical support and rescue in the heat of battle. "When a plane is brought down in no man's land or gets out of order there, we are the boys who go out to fix it," said Arthur Savage of Grants Pass. "And let me tell you, Fitz can snipe and shoot some." The squad was highly decorated for its service. Following the November 11th armistice of 1918, it was ordered back to the United States to be demobilized. The America's journey home, however, did not go as planned. In cramped and poorly ventilated conditions, an outbreak of the deadly flu took hold. The virus infected 105 men, at least 4 of whom died. The heroic work of Army surgeons, including Lieutenant W.A. Neal from Portland, saved countless lives and eventually brought the outbreak under control. The America docked and its soldiers were transferred to Camp Mills in New Jersey for sanitation quarantine. On board was a boy from Canby and 2 from Oregon City. They had survived the mustard gas of the Oregon and the horrors of the Spanish flu. And they were going home.
Are you a healthcare hero? Do you want to become one? Are you looking for a position where you are valued, your time is your own, and you have ample opportunity for growth? Marquee Companies at Hope Village in Canby, Oregon offers all of that and more. They are currently hiring nurses, caregivers, CNAs, and enrolling students in their free CNA course. From competitive wages and up to $25,000 tuition reimbursement to flexible schedules and the opportunity to make a positive impact on someone's life, Marquee at Hope Village is the right place for you. Take your career to the next level and apply now to become a valued team member at Marquee at Hope Village in Canby. To learn more or apply today, text CURRENT, that's CURRENT, to 888-906-3432. Tyler, did you know that the Australian lyrebird can mimic any sound that it hears, even chainsaws?
No, that's super interesting.
Did you know that a baby puffin is called a puffling? Or that baby sea otters can't swim, so their moms wrap them up in pieces of kelp until they learn how to paddle?
Wait, do you know any trivia that isn't like animal related?
Not really, but here's some stuff you may not know about the Wild Hare Saloon, where Canby goes to eat and have fun.
Okay.
The Wild Hare is one of Canby's longest running locally owned restaurants. Owners Joan and Darren Moden have been in business for 16 years.
That's cool.
Yeah, heck, you were just a baby back then.
Wait, what?
And they love to give back. They've been members of the Canby Chamber for that long, and they donate over $20,000 to local sports, FFA programs, and civic organizations each year.
Wow, I'm legitimately caught off. That's cool.
Yeah, they also support more than 30 jobs in the community through their award-winning staff, some of them as young as 18. Hey, that's older than you are.
Dude, I'm 10 months younger than you.
With the days getting longer and the weather getting warmer, the Canby Wild Hare's expansive outdoor patio is the place to be. Furry friends welcome.
Well, that sounds great. I'm going to go check them out just off of Highway 99E next to the Space Age in Canby at 1656 Beaver Creek Road in Oregon City, or on their website at thewildharesaloon.net. Now Hear This Canby is produced by me, Tyler Clausen. Our content director and star reporter is Tyler Frankie. And of course, our show is edited by Cameron Clausen. We also feature the vocal talents of Joyce Struby and James Walden. So a round of applause to them. The song that you're hearing right now is Canby by singer-songwriter Olivia Harms, used with her permission. To find more work from her, you can visit her website, olivia13.com.
Now Hear This Canby is dedicated to preserving independent local journalism and redefining local news with our fun, fresh, and energetic brand of storytelling. Our sincere thanks to our local sponsors who make this show possible. Please show your appreciation by supporting the small businesses who support us.
The production of Now Hear This Studios, Canby's locally owned, full-service audio, video, and media production company. Our mission is to produce the best content in the universe, and we'd love to help you do it. Find us online at nhtstudios.com.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
I just moved it.
I didn't even ask for it, though.